Hello friends, today we are going to understand the topic passing off under the Trademark Act 1999. Passing off is a common law tort which can be used to enforce unregistered trademark rights. The law of passing off prevents one person from misleading his goods and services as that of another. The concept of passing off has undergone changes in the course of time. At first, it was restricted to the representation of one person's good as those of another. Later, it was extended to business and services. Subsequently, it was further extended to professions and non training activities. Today, it is applied to many forms of unfair trading, and unfair competition where the activities of one person cause damage or injury to the goodwill associated with the activities of another person or group of persons. The basic question in this tort turns upon whether the defendant conduct in such as to tend to mislead the public to believe that the defendant business is the plaintiff's or to cause confusion between the business activities of the two. The tort of passing off is sufficiently wide to give relief to parties engaged in the trading type activities. In the case British Diabetic Association versus Diabetic Society, both the parties were charitable societies. Their names were deceptively similar. The words association and society were too close since they were similar in deviation and meaning and were not wholly dissimilar in form. Permanent injunction granted. There are certain elements of the passing off. The first one is reputation, the second one is misrepresentation, the third one is damage, and they're also known as classical trinity. In the case Reckitt and Coleman Limited versus Borden Incorporation, stated in the case that in a suit for passing of the plaintiff must establish the first one goodwill attached to his goods or services, and the second one he must prove a misrepresentation by the defendant to the public. Lastly, he must demonstrate that he has suffered a loss due to the belief that the defendant goods and services are those of the plaintiff. There are some modern elements in the case Ivan Walkin versus Town and Liplock gave the essentials misrepresentation made by a person in the course of trade to prospective customers of his or ultimate consumers of goods and services supplied by him, which is calculated to injure the business or goodwill of another trader, which causes actual damage to a business or goodwill of a trader by whom the action is brought. In the case Honda Motors Company Limited versus Charanjit Singh and others, held that the use of the mark Honda by the defendant could not be said to be an honest adoption. Its usage by the defendant is likely to cause confusion in the mind of the public. The application of the plaintiff was allowed. Now we have to understand why passing off is necessary. The trademark is providing protection to registered goods and services, but the passing of action is providing a protection to unregistered goods and services. The most important point is that the remedy is same in both the cases, but the trademark is available to only the registered goods and services, and passing off is available to the unregistered goods and services. In the case Durga Dutt versus Navratan Pharmaceutical, Supreme Court has set out the distinct between the infringement and passing off. The action for infringement is a statutory remedy conferred on the registered owner of a registered trademark and has an exclusive right to the use of the trademark in relation to those goods. It was given in the case Durga Dutt versus Navratan Pharmaceutical, and the passing off is available to the unregistered goods and services. The use of the defendant of the trademark of the plaintiff is not essential in an action of passing off, but in the case of an action for infringement, this will not applicable. Now, when the passing of arise, the passing of action is arise when there is a misrepresentation, when it is harm the existing plaintiff's goodwill, when it is made by a trader in the course of trade, which is injure the business of another trader and which cause actual damage to the business or goodwill of the trader by the whom action is brought. In the case Rupa and Company Limited versus Don Mills Company Limited, the defendant manufactured an underwear which named down as similar to the plaintiff manufactured underwear Don, which is creating confusion in the minds of the people because the layout, get-up and the color combination is same in the plaintiff's product. Reckitt and Coleman Products Limited versus Borden Incorporation gives three essentials: goodwill, misrepresentation and the damage. Now, how the passing of action arise in the case Akash Arora versus Yahoo. The court held that the Yahoo India is creating a confusion in the mind of the people and the defendant Yahoo India is same as the plaintiff Yahoo. But as a student of law, I am not with the case decision because my view regarding to the case is that his site may be better than his competitors, that those who access the internet, they are capable to distinguish which site is yahoo.in and which one is Yahoo India. So the question of confusion is not created when the people are able to distinguish between the sites, then there will be no question of passing off arise. What is reverse passing off? In the case John Robert Power School versus Tyson, another variety somewhat rare is called reverse passing off. This occurs when the defendant markets the plaintiff product as being the defendant product. In many cases, reverse passing off can be explained under the ordinary rule. Let's scheme out the conclusion of passing off. There is a whole summary of the passing off as well. The researcher concludes that the passing of action is applied to unregistered goods and services, and in infringement of suit in passing off in both the cases the remedy will be same. Then the passing off is arise in three cases. First one, when it is injured the claimant goodwill in misrepresentation, and the third one is damage, where the position is same like in infringement suit. Lastly, the concept of passing off is reading with the domain name in technological changes. Then the concept of passing off is in different dimension. Thank you. And if you like the video, please subscribe my channel.